Okay, Commander Bracket 1, 17 and 1. This is the we're gonna win the game a different way deck. It's basically the we don't win any other way deck. So, how do we do that? Well, we have three options. We have Biovisionary. If we have at the beginning of our end step 4 copies of Biovisionary, we win the game. Call the Spirit Dragons. Dragons are indestructible. At the beginning of combat on our turn, if we control 5 different 5-colored dragons, we win the game. And finally, Happily Ever After, where at the beginning of our upkeep, if we have 5 color among permanents we control, there are 6 or more permanent cards in our graveyard or on the battlefield, permanent types, and our life total is higher than our starting life total, we win the game. Now, I will say, as a disclaimer, I have achieved all but the Call of the Spirit Dragons in this deck, so I've won both alternate ways. This is purely a Bracket 1 deck, as in, this deck will win with these effects or not at all. Now, what I mean by that is if I have a huge advantage, I'm not going to push on it. I tell people at the start of the game, I'm going to win with this effect or I'm not going to win at all. I'm not opposed to blowing up your stuff. I'm not opposed to attacking your planeswalkers or trying to remove problematic things. But I will not win the game any other way with these. There's only been one instance where I did actually win a game without using these, and that was purely because it had been 2 hours and the last player begged me to just kill him so we could just end the game. So, yeah, interesting thing. So, let's go through these. First off, an easiest one to explain, how do we win with Call of the Spirit Dragon? We have 8 dragons in our deck, and of course we have a 5-color dragon avatar commander in Niv-Mizzet Reborn. So we have Lothus, the Dragon's Legacy, Ojutai, Soul of Winter, Ataka, the World Render, Niv-Mizzet, Draco Genius, Shadrick, Silverquill, Farak, Cunning Instigator, Hidetsugu and Kiri, and Corsi, Scale Singer. So, yeah, we need to try and get 5 big-ass dragons on the battlefield. Takes a long time, really hard. But, you know, it's doable, but we've never done it. But that's basically how we win with this deck. How we win with this effect, sorry, we just play a bunch of huge dragons. Next, we'll look at Biovisionary. Now, how do we get 4 copies of Biovisionary in a singleton format? We send in the clones. So as you can see here, we have the Raid Pirate, I can't remember the English name of because I have the foil German one. We have Crocoling Counterpart, which can create a 1/1 frog copy of it, which is called Biovisionary. Evil Twin can enter as a copy of Biovisionary. Double Major, so if we can cast Double Major, then cast a Biovisionary, we essentially make 2 Biovisionaries. Altered Ego is essentially another way to make Biovisionary, and Brutaclad. Now, if we can make a token copy of Biovisionary with any of our effects here, we could turn every token we own into a Biovisionary to win the game that way. Now, these effects are obviously there to win with the Biovisionary, however, there is a lot of power in just cloning stuff. There's a reason CDH players play clones. Like, someone is guaranteed to play a busted commander, so I will Crocoling Counterpart it. You know, you play a huge Ulamog, I'll play the evil twin of Ulamog, and so on and so forth. So there is play outside of the Biovisionary version, but it's usually what we use them for. Finally, the hardest one to explain, Happily Ever After. So, it's an upkeep trigger. There are many requirements. One of the hardest ones though is staying above our current life total. We have a bunch of ways to gain life, but obviously if you got to pass a whole turn with 3 other players, they're going to punch you in the face to try and stop you. That's why I do run 1 Hail Mary extra turn spell in Chance for Glory, where we get an extra turn, but we lose the game at the end of that turn if we don't win. So it's fingers crossed, it's a Hail Mary, go for it, pray for it. But how do we get this done? So we basically run a bunch of interactive things that give us the card types we need in other ways as well. So we run a lot of battles. Now we run Invasion of Tolvada, Asgul, Amonkhet, Xerox, and Nuka Penna. Because as well as being battles, if these are put into our graveyard like discarded or still on the battlefield, there are also other effects if we can flip them over. So Invasion of Tolvada, for example, becomes a huge life-linking token creator, which can help us stabilize our life total. Nuka Penna can become an artifact if we need that. Amonkhet is actually another clone effect, but kind of like a body double clone effect where it clones something from a graveyard. Xerox is an angel, which isn't relevant. But yeah, aside from that, we then run some planeswalkers to cover the other aspects of it. So we run Obnixilis, the adversary. I got this fancy version, I really enjoy it, and I play it in this deck for one reason. We can casualty to make a clone of him, which is a really cool interactive thing. We can actually make a 6/6 of him using Niv. But one of my favorite things is it's one interaction I've rarely ever pulled off, is we can actually clone the token copies of him and keep making token copies of him, which is pretty cool. Dove and Hand of Control is a stacks effect, which can also prevent damage, which can be huge on a board. Like, I've used him to block damage from a huge creature and just, slow things down. Teferi Time Raveler. Mainly Teferi Time Raveler's in here as for his static. We want to, if we're going to go for the Biovisionary turn, cloning it 3 times, we want to not get blown out by removal or a counterspell. So as now we have a few enchantments here. We try to go with stuff which gives us additional value as well as just being enchantments for the card type, because obviously Happily Ever After covers that as well. So we have Fires of Yavimaya, which gives haste. We have Stimulus Package, which makes us treasures, but we can also make 1/1 citizens with them. Key thing as well, Stimulus Package is actually a sneaky card here because it can actually give us green or white permanent as well. We have At Knife Point, which can make us mercenaries, and Flooded Woodlands, a random card I've had for ages, which is 2 blue and a black. No green creature can attack unless its controller sacrifices a land whenever that creature attacks. Now, I love it in this deck because we're not going to attack. We just want to play peaceful. Obviously, if we play this on certain board states, we get murdered, and rightfully so, but it's still pretty fun. Next, we'll talk about our other effects. So we have the standard Treasured Find, Reborn Hope as our buyback effects. We have our tutor package of Bring to Light, Sterling Grove, and Perplex. Perplex can transmute for either the Happily Ever After or the Biovisionary, whichever version you want to go for. Sterling Grove can tutor either the Happily Ever After or the Call of the Spirit Dragon, so it works in that way. Bring to Light is just versatile and really good. Next, we have a bunch of creatures which also make us other types of permanents to help with Happily Ever After. So, Gnome, the Master Chef, and Sam make food, which is an artifact. Baleful Strix is a creature and an artifact. Malkador, the Purity Overseer, is a creature which makes an artifact creature. Savala, the Ice Shaper, can make ice monoliths, which are artifacts. And Bloodbraid Elf just cascades into another spell, which can give us other advantages. Yeah, this artwork, I love this artwork of Bloodbraid Elf. Now let's talk about our general interaction package. So we have Take the Bait, which is a fun effect for us. Now, I've said before, we're not going to win the game with anything other than effects. So if someone does try to take us out prematurely, we can use this to be like, nah, actually, you can try and kill someone else. Then it's just a slew of removal. So we have Struggle Survive, our standard graveyard hate/removal spell. Terminate to just hit a key piece. Gandalf's Sanction, which will do damage based on the number of spells we have. And Lightning Helix, because this is the Strixhive foil version, and this is actually a deck where we want to gain life. As I've said before, spell removal is key in this deck because we don't want to aggravate the whole table. We want to just do our dirty little thing. If someone goes for us or tries something really bad or game ending, we need to go for the hero play of being like, guys, I've saved the table, don't kill me. Finally, we'll talk about our removal board wipe. So we have Deafening Clarion. Serves 2 purpose similar to Lightning Helix. It is life gain and removal. We have Selfless Glyphweaver, which is a free mana, gives everything indestructible. Can be good to save. But also, it can be cast the other side for 5 free black for Deadly Vanity, which is we choose a creature or planeswalker and sacrifice everything else. Finally, as well, Oversimplify is 5 mana exile all creatures. So that's the deck. As I said before, this deck purely just wants to win off the back of these 3 effects. Happily Ever After, Call of Spirit Dragon, Biovisionary. And it's a bracket 1 in Spirit, because even though we have effective things like Teferi and essentially combos that end the game, it's not we're purely devoted to the theme. We will never, even if in the Call of the Spirit Dragon, go through it, we end up with a Tarka, Niv, and an Ojutai. We will tell the players we're not attacking because we want to try and win that way. And that is the spirit of a Bracket 1 deck. It is a deck devoted purely to the theme and not winning. Ironically, the theme in this deck is winning, but in a quirky way, if that makes sense. So yeah, the polar opposite of last week's deck. Hope you enjoyed it.